with Eubank Jr. and Smith?
Smith looks injured. Looked like a wounded soldier in there. It'd be interesting to find out what actually went on. Eubank done what he should have done first time round, but Smith looked injured from the get-go. He didn't look at the races, and if it took Eubank 10 rounds to get the job done, it ain't really that impressive. Considering Smith only threw 33 punches in the whole fight, all landed anyway.
Conor, did you expect it to be so one-sided? I hear what you're saying about the possible injury to Smith, but it was so one-sided, wasn't it?
It's hard to take anything away from it. It was clear to see, based on Smith's whole career, that, he wasn't at the races and, he may have picked up an injury in the fight. So, I don't take much away from that. It was like Eubank was in a punch bag in there. So, there weren't no counters. There weren't no, evading the shots, no counter shots. So for me, it was, he done what he needed to do. But it still took him 10 rounds to get a 1-5-4 fighter out of there.
What was the atmosphere like, Conor? It seemed to be special again.
It was great. It was a great atmosphere. I went there because it's great for boxing. Yeah, it was an unbelievable turnout. I mean, it was 50-50 splits. Eubank's obviously got the boos, Smith got the cheers, but by the end of it, Eubank got a few cheers. I was quite surprised.
Conor, it begs the question, this Monday morning, who's next for you? Would you want Eubank Jr.?
100%. I don't believe I need a warm-up fight. Given everything that's going on and has gone on, I'd like to do it here for the supporters, for everyone who's continued to support me through this period. A December massive showdown would, be a treat for the fans.
So we're going to see you again soon?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. So Simon, when you hear that from Conor this morning, yeah, for sure, 100% I would want Eubank Jr. What do you think fight fans would want more? Eubank Benn or Eubank Smith 3?
I think a lot of fight fans would like to see Conor Benn clear his name. I think that's what a lot of fight fans would do, rather than use a technicality to get out from underneath. I don't want Conor Benn in this situation, but I don't want this preposterous assertion that he's cleared himself, because he hasn't. And the idea, I made observations about Chris Eubank Jr. A lot of people were saying to me, is he a charlatan now? Well, what I was incredibly impressed by his performance, because you've got to give it to Chris Eubank Jr. He was on a different level to the fighter that went in there in the first fight, but then Liam Smith was on a completely different level as well. So you're not necessarily comparing like with like. And if he's not a charlatan, I don't understand. I don't understand the logic of immediately after the fight calling out Conor Benn, calling out Kell Brook, and calling out Gennady Golovkin. None of these are world title fights. None of these are progressing his career. All of these are money fights. Conor Benn seems to have gone up to mythical status. Conor Benn's like the archetypal footballer that's been injured for 6 months and gets better and better and better the more he's not playing. Conor Benn, with due respect to Conor, was on a very decent career path, was beating a few names that were on their way down. But Conor Benn is no mythical beast that everyone's got to fight. He's a fighter with some notoriety right now. And Kell Brook hasn't fought for 2 years, and 6 months ago, Kell was in the pits of despair over situations in his personal life with drugs. Neither of these fighters are fighters that Chris Eubank Jr. should be calling out. He should be saying, I tell you what, I've just shown the world I can fight this way. I tell you what I'll do, because I want to win a world title, because I'm about world titles. I'll call out Jamal Charlo for the light middleweight title, because that's a legitimate fight, because I want to be a world. No, I want to get paid, and this is the thing that I have a problem with Chris Eubank Jr. over. The performance brilliant on Saturday, did the job. Liam Smith, disappointing. There should be a third fight. If there's an appetite for a third fight,
do you think is there an appetite?
Depends.
After what we saw on Saturday night?
After what we saw,
Fury Wilder, yes, and we saw
after what we saw in the first fight, was there an appetite for the second fight? Because Eubank sold it on the basis of what he could be, what he should be, and what he would be. Okay, he was. Liam Smith took a fight, and he says, and I don't think it's a great reason, I don't know why they didn't bomb the fight out. The only person that wanted the fight initially was Eubank. He had the rematch clause. I don't know why Liam Smith didn't turn around and say, I'm not ready. He said, I'm not. The reason why I had to make the fight on September the 2nd, even though I wasn't physically fit enough to do it, was because Chris Eubank would go somewhere else. Well, let him go somewhere else then. Where was he going to go? Fight Conor Benn? Conor Benn might have an American license, and he might get permission to fight in his country. Likelihood he probably won't, because the British Boxing Board of Control have rejected and appealed against the initial decision. I think there's lots of questions that should be asked of where Chris Eubank Jr. is going next, but his performance on Saturday was very, very good against a very, very poor Liam Smith.
He says he would fight Golovkin. He'd love to fight Golovkin now.
But Golovkin got a world title. What's he fighting Golovkin for? I thought he wanted world titles because he wants to get paid. I don't blame them.
Yeah, but having said that, you pay money to see that.
Sure.
Eubank Jr. against Golovkin.
But why don't you call
Sure.
out? But why don't you call out Charlo? He's a world title holder. My issue with Chris has always been, which is where the charlatan comment came from, was you keep on telling people what you want to do. You keep on telling people about how much money you've made and how much your house in Las Vegas is. What about the world titles that you say you're going to go after? And now you're calling out Conor Benn, and you're calling out Kell Brook, and you're calling out a 41-year-old Gennady Golovkin that's not even a world title holder anymore. Why? Because you want to get paid, and that's what it's about. Fantastic, but it's not quite the same thing as being about winning world titles, is it?
All boxers want to get paid.
Well, why can't
That's
you
why Fury's getting in with a
Well,
man
he'll
for
get
the
paid.
MMA.
He'll get paid against Jamal Charlo, who's the undisputed, or certainly a 2 or 3 belt holder of the light middleweight division. Why are you fighting him? He just proved he can fight at 160. He looked brilliant. He looks absolutely in condition. He's clearly listening. He's got better trainers around. All the things that his dad was worried about, Chris is clearly doing now, and you saw it in the performance against Liam Smith. So why are we talking about something better than that?
Okay, who do you want Eubank Jr. to fight next? Or do you want to see Eubank Jr. Smith 3? Send us a message on that, 81089.